Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, Rivers war gets really messy. Assembly begs Tinubu to warn Fubara. In the course of the program, we take your questions. But first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. It's important to mention that we can only read comments with human names and the ones based on the subject matter. I have joining me via Zoom, the master himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you, Wike.
Good to see you. And I apologize for the delay in kicking off the program. I wish that one day this will come to an end.
Right. Definitely, our audience definitely understands that we definitely try our best to ensure that we keep up to time. Sometimes, unforeseen circumstances. Right. Thank you so much for the apology, BKO. Let's get right into the matter. The way messier as Governor Fubara of Rivers State has ordered immediate temporary relocation of the seating of the State House of Assembly, editorial, admin block of the government house in Port Harcourt. So this is as Rivers State High Court in Port Harcourt granted an interim injunction restraining pro-Wike Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Martin Mawule, and the 24 other members from parading themselves as legislators. What do you make of these developments, BKO?
For some time, I accused the Minister of FCT, yes, on Wike, of exacerbating this crisis by his refusal to act the role of an elder. In a conflict between two persons, you expect a level of maturity to be shown by the older person. And in this case, the older person is Nyesom Wike. There were occasions when Governor Fubara did not say anything. And Wike will grant interviews upon interviews to attack the governor, to say all kinds of things. I felt at that time that I was not acting his age. And I advised him that in this case, he should be the one to focus on securing lasting peace on that matter. But clearly, he would not listen to me. Today, it is the governor of Fubara who is acting like a small-minded person. He's acting like a small-minded person because some of his utterances, some of his actions are way too immature and sometimes downright irresponsible as far as this crisis is concerned. What I see is just a crisis driven by personal ego tripping on the part of the gladiators, greed for power, and a culture of impunity that puts everyone to shame. And when I say everyone, as a Nigerian, I'm ashamed of some of what is going on in Rivers State. Why, for example, would the governor sign an executive order that assembly should relocate into the government house? The assembly of any state, the House of Assembly of any state, ought to be independent of the executive. What is Fubara trying to turn governance and democracy to in Rivers State? Trying to have an assembly that is totally in his pocket. Why should the House sit inside the assembly complex? I mean, this is childishness. This is impunity taken too far. And that's why the House, the members of the House, have now appealed to President Tinubu to please call this governor to order because no one knows what he will do next. A governor whom supporters loyal to him, supporters who feared that he could be impeached, bombed the assembly complex. He then moved on to demolish the structure, something that cost billions of naira to build. They also attacked the home of the speaker. That aside, the moment he got fed up that the House had been overriding his veto, the House had been passing bills into law on their own, Fubara, apparently having so little to do now because we have not been kept busy about some of the landmark projects taking place in Rivers State. He has succeeded in distracting himself massively. He moved into the assembly quarters and kept saying, oh, is the assembly not my property? How is it your property? You are a governor. It's not your property. You don't know what you are talking about. If you describe the assembly as your property, the assembly quarters as your property, you are not even the one who built it in the first place. And then he was talking about doing an on-the-spot assessment to see whether some structures needed to be rehabilitated. This was what triggered the fear on the part of the assembly members that this governor will probably come and demolish their buildings. I never knew that we could get to that point where all that a governor thinks of doing is to demolish the habitation of another arm of government. What was he doing in their quarters? Was he simply playing mind games? If he tries to demolish that place, he should remember that he will not have immunity forever. One day he will account for some of the irresponsible things that he's doing. Why would you go to the assembly quarters and say you wanted to find out whether the buildings were in good shape or not? That's sending a signal to the occupants of the assembly quarters. That's driving them to nuts and frightening their children. In fact, I learned that some have begun to move some of their things out. And if the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State will do his work, there is a need to secure that whole area and ensure that thugs, hirelings of the executive do not go there to demolish the place or even bomb the place. I read what the speaker said. He said, we are ashamed to have a governor who has no respect for our democracy. Indeed, our governor is an assault on our democracy. A governor that wants to run the house with just 3 or 4 persons. I mean, something is really wrong in Rivers. And there ought to be a political solution to what is going on in Rivers State. I have demanded that political leaders, PDP, and other stakeholders need to come together to solve this problem. Clearly, those leaders didn't listen to me. Maybe they felt it was not necessary. But we are witnessing an escalation of a conflict in which the two protagonists have clearly lost their head. We are seeing a situation in which two protagonists in the Rivers State political debacle have clearly lost their heads. And there's a need for power people big politicians, and other stakeholders to come together. Ibrahim, I hope you are listening to me. Can you hear me?
I'm with you, Miguel. I'm with you.
Okay, because you appear not to be here. I hope that the power people will come together and find a solution because, as I said earlier, the two major protagonists in this matter appear to have lost their heads and they do not care at all what befalls the state. They do not know that at the rate this crisis is going, no one can predict how it will all end. We do not want to see bloodshed on our hands. Now, I've had one of the courts declared the seats of the assembly members, 24 assembly members, led by Martin Amawule, vacant. That is not new to me. But there is a stalemate in that. Unfortunately, in this kind of conflict, because everyone appears to have taken sides, they would not look at the issues comprehensively. I will take us back to what the speaker of the clerk of the House of Assembly said.
Yeah.
As far as the clerk, Emeka Amadi, is concerned, there is no change in the leadership of the House. And the clerk also said that the three remaining members of outside of the Martin Amawule faction, the three other members, according to the clerk, were suspended on October 30, 2023 by the House. Their suspension, as far as the clerk of the House is concerned, still stands. And to that extent, they are not even members of the House anymore. So this is a stalemate. Because if they were legally suspended, and according to the clerk, he, as the clerk of the House of Assembly, who administered the oath of membership and an office to all members of the and as a custodian of all records of the House, he is saying that there is no change in leadership of the House today, and the Right Honorable Martin Chike Amawule remains the Speaker of the House. Apart from the seat of Kana Constituency 2, which was declared vacant because of the death of the member, no other seat has been declared vacant. This is what the clerk is saying. He also said that there is a subsisting judgment of the court of a court of competent jurisdiction in suit number FHC API CS/1613/2023, in which the court, among others, granted an order of injunction restraining the governor of Rivers State, who is the 11th defendant in that suit, whether by himself or by his agents and or hirelings, or in any manner howsoever, from impeding or frustrating the Rivers State House of Assembly under the leadership of Martin Amawule in the performance of their functions, including holding of meetings and transacting of the business of the Rivers State House of Assembly. So, if there was indeed an injunction which has not been vacated, restraining the governor from interfering in the running of the House, are we not seeing now that indeed we are getting close to the state of nature in Rivers State, where people are chosen to act with impunity, where people have chosen not to obey the orders of the court? Because I went back to take excerpt from what the speaker said and the clerk said, that 3 members had been suspended by the leadership of the House on October 30, 2023. Now, what it means is if we agree that 24 members who defected from the House had lost their seats, although the ideal thing is for us to wait until the final court rules on the matter. I'm interested in seeing how the final court will resolve that matter. That is, if the political leaders and other leaders in the state fail to wade in, I'm amazed that Rivers State does not appear to have leaders that these two gladiators, Nyesom Wike and the governor, will listen to, will respect. Because if those leaders have the respect of these two individuals, even the president does not have to get involved. We've seen a situation in which even the PDP, where the governor comes from, we've not seen any effort on their part to resolve the crisis. The two gladiators, whom I said earlier appear to have lost their heads, are both members of the PDP. Why is the PDP sleeping on duty on this matter? It shouldn't be President Tinubu intervening. It should be the leadership of the party intervening to see how they can get these people to let these two guys to let reason prevail. These two power-hungry individuals,
That's right.
They need to be spoken to. They need to allow the rule of law to reign. Because clearly there are court cases that have been disobeyed across the board. Both sides are disobeying the courts. So this is a recipe for disaster. Anarchy looms when we have a situation in which a governor thinks that he can demolish any building. In a season when governors are showcasing what they've achieved. Some showcasing what they achieved in 6 months. Some in a year. So we need order in that state. And the way both of them are going, why, for example, should the governor seize the funds of local governments? Why? He has not got the power to do that. The same way he said the assembly exists because he allows them to exist. Mr. Governor, you are not God. Now, this is a democracy.
That's right.
You need to put an end to some of this behavior. Yes, we know that Wike has not covered himself in glory. I've said it repeatedly. But we expected that the governor will continue to act with utmost decency because the people are on his side. But when the governor wants to descend to the gutters and he wants to wrestle with the pig in the mud, then he's going to lose the sympathy, the regard. Nigerians like to support the underdog. In this matter, many Nigerians support the governor because they felt that he is the underdog. He was playing the victim very well initially. But today, we can see that the governor is merely even pretending to be interested in making peace. What we see him doing now is trying to show that, look, I'm the emperor, I can demolish any building, I can deal with anybody and all that. No, that is absolute rubbish. It has to stop. It has to stop.
Right, Mikhail, let me take one or two comments here. Nelson Adefense says the two of Wike and Governor Fubara are just being egocentric, equally both to their destructions. Most importantly, it is substantial advice that Fubara should drop his ego for Wike respect and governance. Idris Adibun says, my question, Mikhail, do you think the 25 lawmakers will be vindicated in the end? Akin Lagu Shegun says, Fubara to me is an ingrate. Jay says, what's the stand of the court order banning the 27 members from sitting or parading themselves as a member of the House? Kayla Charity from River State, I can tell you for free that the people of Rivers are solidly behind or solidly in support of Dr. Fubara. And Banji Okesoto says, Charity, it's normal. Nigerians in South support anyone in power. Well, let me take this question because I'm also worried. I think you actually spoke to it, but I wanted to expatiate. How do you describe Governor Fubara's body language in this whole issue? You may recall that a former Rivers State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Zacchaeus Adango, says Governor Fubara, through his recent actions, is not committed to reconciling with his predecessor. Yes, on Wike. Do you share this view?
At this stage, I agree. I agree. Some of the actions that he's taking do not suggest that he wants peace. What he wants to do is to crush everybody and become the Louis XVI, the ultimate dictator in the state. That's what he wants. He's saying no, don't go and don't go and present anything to the house. He's holding on to the salaries of local government workers. He's telling heads of local governments, he's calling the treasury officers to bring their payment schedule to government house that is going to pay directly from government house. Have you ever seen that level of crass arrogance before? That a governor will say is going to be the one to pay the salaries of local government workers. Ordinarily, local governments should have the autonomy. But this idea of state and local governments having a joint account is the reason governors have become so giddy with power to the point that they don't even think that local government amounts to anything. So they are so drunken with power that they believe they can do anything. They want the judiciary in their pocket. They want the local governments in their pocket. That's another level of government. So this governor doesn't appear to be interested in peace. His face all along looked like that of a person being harassed, the victim. He played the victim very well. But it was clear to him that even the condition, the agreement reached with the president, he will only obey the ones that pleased him. That's all he wanted. The moment Fubara demolished that assembly, it was a silly thing to do because demolishing the assembly does not stop them from sitting. Are they not sitting now? As long as they sit within the state, they are well within the law. So I don't think that he wants to be the man who controls the levels of power in that state and nobody should challenge him. That's what he wants. And many governors are like that. That's why they fight their predecessors. They fight their godfathers. It's convenient for people to say, oh, godfathers, we don't want godfathers, we don't want this, we don't want that. But when you wanted power, you respected the godfather. You knelt down for the godfather. Today you have power. You are saying you don't want to worship somebody who behaves like he's a god. Increasingly, you see, power is so sweet that even if you test your own son with it, you will see the way your son will react to you once he has power in his hands. That's why those governors, there are very few of them who are not quarreling with their predecessors, with the people who put them there, who spend the money, who worked day and night to put them in power. Nigerians will say, oh, they don't want godfathers. But there is no Nigerian that will do a good thing for, who will turn against you, that you'll be happy with. It's a fact of life. We don't like ungrateful people. So if Wike is complaining that somebody is ungrateful to him, that started fighting less than 6 months into office, it is what we would do. Most of us will do that. We are hypocrites. When we say, oh, no, he should leave him alone, he should this, we are not saying he should run the state for him. But to say that a man does not have the right to be angry if someone behaves in ungrateful fashion towards him is the height of hypocrisy. We all get angry with people that we do good things to, and they don't appreciate it. None of us will be happy. Even my son, if I give him a gift, he doesn't greet me the next day. He doesn't say, Daddy, thank you for yesterday. Or my wife, I'm going to quarrel with her so that she doesn't know that anybody properly brought up must show appreciation for good things that they've done to him. That is the good thing. If I visit your house, Ibrahim, and As I was about to leave the home, I put my hand in my pocket and I give some money, put some money in the hands of your wife. The next day she will call me, say, Daddy, thanks for what you gave me yesterday. We like people who appreciate generosity. We like people who show gratitude. There's nobody who will say he's happy that somebody not has shown ungratefulness to him. Whoever says that is an hypocrite. That's not how we are wired. We are trained to appreciate good deeds.
That's right.
So Wike has every reason to be unhappy. The Secretary of Government of the Federation has every reason to be unhappy with the governor of Benue.
Yeah.
But
right.
At the same time, they too must act within the law. They must act within decency because we want peace. And we know that it's a two-way thing. When two individuals are quarreling, we must reconcile both of them. The way to true reconciliation is not to pin all the blame on one individual. No, that is what we are doing. And we want to achieve peace if we continue. Let's blame the governor, let's blame Wike, and then say, gentlemen, the two of you have misbehaved. We want to reconcile you.
In this regard, Mikhail, President Tinubu is being sought again to, after the botched resolution signed by the warring parties. A group is calling on him to warn Governor Fubara, while another begs him to call Nyesom Wike to order. In all of this, what role do you think the president can play again to address this quagmire?
If I were the president, I will call the governor of Rivers State and I will tell him, look, the crisis is an internal matter of your state, but don't go against the Constitution. And because I swore to defend the Constitution, if you go against the Constitution, you are looking for my trouble. I will use everything, all the resources at my disposal to defend the Constitution. A governor has no right to go to the homes of assembly members and be saying indirectly that is going to demolish their homes. No, he has no, until the final court. You can say, no, they've lost their seat, they've lost their seat. What the law says, we all know what the law says. If someone commits murder today, you won't say because our law says that whoever takes a life must also lose his life. Then we'll go and slaughter the person. There's nowhere in the world where that is done. You allow the full range of the legal battles to end. And the final court, which is the Supreme Court, they cite, Abegode, the Supreme Court judgment on Abegode, they cite it. But thank God it's the Supreme Court that they are citing. They are not citing a lower court. Allow the courts to decide. Once we've reached the final stage, then the law can take its course. That is the way to go. You don't go and grab a man because he kills someone and then you kill him. No. The law, despite the fact that the law prescribes death penalty, you allow the courts to put him on trial and then come up with a decision. Expecting the lawmakers to vacate their seats because the law says, if you defect when your party is not divided and all that, that you will lose that you've lost your seat. That is not how the law runs. They must go to court. They must lose in court before those seats can be legally vacated. And when they are vacated, INEC will conduct a fresh election. We have not even reached that point. To be imagining that, they've lost their seat, they are no longer members, is absolutely ridiculous. As the Supreme Court or even the Appeal Court ordered that their seats be vacated. So why will anyone say they are no longer lawmakers? That's what Fubara is saying. Is Fubara a lawyer? He's not a lawyer. The last time I checked, he's an accountant. What does he know about the law? Beyond being misled by people who are biased, let the courts do their job. When the whole gamut of, those cases are decided, we will all know where we are going. If the Supreme Court says you vacate your seat, so be it. They will learn a lesson from there. That is the point I'm making. But you can't say, oh, automatically they've lost their seat. Who said that? If you say the court gave that order, is that court the final court? The answer is no. They have room of appeal. So let's be patient. Let's use our heads. Let's use our heads, do what is right. So I don't even expect the president to get involved again. If you ask me, I don't expect the president to get involved on this matter again. The president only needs to talk to the governor that, look, I received report that you are trying to demolish lawmakers' homes. You need to back down. Don't do that. I received a report that you are withholding local government funds. That is illegal. Release the local government funds. Because even when Obasanjo withheld Lagos funds, the Supreme Court ruled that he was wrong. So Obasanjo can't be wrong, and you, Fubara, you will be right, because you don't have two heads. You release their funds to them. So the president can call him and tell him a few things. But I don't expect the kind of intervention that happened the last time to happen. We want peace. I have friends in Rivers. I want to be able to go to Rivers when I like. They should leave. They should stop causing trouble in a manner that will threaten the movement in and out of Rivers for those of us who have friends there. Let them behave themselves.
That's right, Wike. Very quickly and lastly, talking about the council chairman, they were actually elected to serve for 3 years, but now extended by 6 months by the lawmakers. So the governor says the extension of the council chairman's tenure is responsible for the withholding of the allocation, for the reason for withholding of the allocation. How do you react to this?
Again, the governor does not have a sense of history. He does not know what he's talking about. Obasanjo did the same thing when he said Lagos councils that Tinubu created extra local governments that were not recognized by the Constitution. What did the Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said he has no power to hold on to the funds. Obasanjo said, look, I recognize only 20 local governments. And those 20 local governments are in the Constitution. You have no right to create new local governments. And if you create, the National Assembly must ratify. For that reason, Obasanjo held on to their funds, to Lagos State funds. The Supreme Court said you have no power to do that. Fubara has no power to do what he has done. It's only the courts that can decide on matters like this. He should be patient. He should go through the law and secure what he wants. Who knows? The courts may decide in his favor. But does the assembly have the power to extend the tenure of local governments? I think yes, because even the assembly in Lagos State extended the tenure of local governments. It used to be 3 years. So there are parallels for some of these things. So he has no right to withhold their funds. He has no right. If he thinks they are there illegally, let him use the courts to secure the pronouncement to that effect and have those chairmen sacked once and for all. It's not in his place to do. He's behaving like a very lawless person. And for a man that we respected, some of what he's doing, you know, you ask yourself, that is this really Fubara? No, so this is the thing. People change. And this is what we are seeing. If he goes on like this, he will keep making mistakes, and some of those mistakes will be irreparable, and he will blame himself when he leaves office. People take some actions that many years down the line they will regret. He has to keep his head down. He really has to. Some of what he has said, look at him going on saying that so he used to feed some of those people. He used to pay their children's school fees. He used to pay their house rent. I said, come on, this is not the Fubara that we knew. It's a completely changed man, extremely power drunk now. He probably will be worse than Wike the way it's going. So people will say Wike is power drunk. This one will be worse than Wike the way he's going, if care is not taken.
Well, some may want to disagree with you, because they will say it's because he doesn't want to bend down to godfatherism, and that Wike probably talked too much and was overbearing. And then the PDP also says that they are now in control of the state. In all of this, how do you see all of these things coming to an end? Do you see an end in sight?
They are now in control of a state where the governor is quarreling with them with the list of caretaker committee that they released. The caretaker committee list clearly favors Yeson Wike. The governor's people are not listed there. And it was the PDP national leadership that put that list together. And they are in control of the state. What are they talking about? A party that two of its key members are quarreling, they can't find a way to resolve them. Because Wike has not left the APC. And the governor is still in PDP. Wike has not left the PDP. Yes, up till now, Wike is still in the PDP. He attended their last NEC. Abi? Why haven't they been able to, even before the president intervened, I expected a serious party to have waded in and resolved the thing. They didn't. A governor that is demolishing assembly complex, that is going to intimidate assembly members in their quarters, and saying that he came to see whether some of their buildings needed renovation. A governor who is saying that the assembly exists to the extent that he recognizes them is going to be worse than Wike. People can say what they like, because Wike didn't even take some of these extreme actions. That's a fact. And we are saying we don't want him to even go that far. He's distracting himself. So even if you don't want to bow to Wike, you don't have to suffer people. If you must make people suffer, let it be Wike. That once you make other people suffer, then you are heartless. You don't have to make other people suffer because of you are fighting an individual. That is the point that we are making.
That's right, Wike. That's right. Well, we'll definitely have to see the way all things will definitely pan out at the end of the day, because it remains to be seen how this issue or this crisis will be resolved. And that's our show for today's edition of Issues with JIDE. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses. As always, even though some majority may disagree with your position, as they've actually done in the comment section, with some people feel
let people are free to disagree. People are free. I don't care whether people disagree. Most of the time, people don't see what I see. Yeah. Most of the time, it's not immodesty. Most of the time, people don't see what I see. I have some information that people don't have, and such information allow me to think in certain ways. They don't have to agree. People hate godfathers, but godfatherism is not limited to Nigeria alone. Go to Pakistan. You can't take away godfatherism from their politics. Even India. Sonia Gandhi, wife of Rajiv Gandhi, remained godfather. People contesting election in the Congress party. I let them go down memory. I'm a historian. Godfatherism, nobody can do anything about it. Tomorrow, if Fubara gets a second term, he will want to put his own person there. From that point, he has become a godfather. What are we talking about? You say we don't want godfatherism. We cannot do away with godfatherism. If you cannot dip your hand in your own pocket and put yourself in office, then you go and meet godfathers. You kneel down. They will help you. They will sponsor you. They will get their supporters to work for you. That way, that person has become your godfather. We cannot do away with godfather. People who don't have shishi, they want to contest election. How do they win? Godfathers will step in. They will spend the money. to use their resources. So we cannot hate godfathers. They are bound to stay. Nobody can do anything about that. Nobody can do anything about that.
We're actually out of time. It's one of our longest shows. And it's also a show that has, I mean, about the topic we had today is one of the most controversial topics we had today. And we also had lots and lots of viewership, much more than we have on a regular. And we also extended the time beyond our regular. Wike, thank you very much for your keenness of insight.
Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Work for peace. Don't side an individual. Blame both of them. Work for peace.
And thanks to our audience for keeping our company on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim TVC News or Ibrahim_Shita. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.